Good morning, everybody. It's a little later when I'm recording this, but you won't see this until the morning. This is moving day, so I'm kind of not prepared. So I'm trusting God to help out on this. We watch what's going on. It's still crazy out there, but listen to the sound of nature. Nature just keeps plowing ahead. Doesn't matter. Looks like the groundhogs might be right in early spring. We have, I think, Good Friday's on the 29th. So we've got Easter coming up. We're off from the Jews because they haven't had their 30-day leap month yet, have they? I'm not prepared. I didn't think about that. Because their Passover is not till the 22nd of April. So it's almost a month away. That tells me that something's off on the calendar. See, this Sunday, the 10th, is changed clocks again. Spring ahead, fall back. You could tell all your non-Christian friends it's spring back, fall ahead. Have them be late for work or church if they go. No, don't do that. Anyhow, this is going to turn out to be a very interesting year. We're going to get the red heifer sacrificed hopefully this next month so they can be prepared to build the temple. That means we're real close to the Antichrist. That means we're real close to us getting out of here because we're not supposed to see him. So, the question is, how soon? Well, we don't know for sure. But I've told you time and time again, you need to be prepared. Now, I don't know if it's going to be, 2-day notice, a 1-week notice, a 1-month notice, 6-month notice. Whatever it is, everything is still spiraling down. Food prices are continually spiraling up. Gas is holding its own because this is an election year. Once that's determined, expect the gas to go up. Because we buy gas from our enemies. And we're turning against everybody, including Israel. The United States is going to have a bad reputation going forward. It's going to add to whatever else we're doing. We're spending $1 trillion more every 100 days. So we're going further in debt. It's unsustainable. The banks know it's unsustainable. They've got loans out there that are very, very shaky. If something were to spook the investors, they would just stop making payments on these loans. It's not going to be good for the economy. They're ready for digital dollars. They're just waiting for someone to call the shot. Tell us when we're ready to do it, and we'll do it. But they're going to have something go along with it. It's not going to be just, okay, we have a digital dollar, please sign up. No. They're going to trash the US dollar, and we're going to have no choice but to go to digital. We're going to lose thousands and millions of dollars depending on who you talk to, at what economic level they're at, and we're going to have digital dollars replace it. I hope we have Social Security. I live on it. But I don't know. So we need to be prepared. Now here's some things that I thought about during the day that we can look to save money. You have a car. If you had an accident in the past 5 years, I'm going to tell you what I do in all these situations. These are not recommendations for you. I don't want to get sued if you follow them and then it doesn't work out right. This is what I do for me. It works for me. My car is paid for. It's worth some money when it works. I just got major things fixed on it, so it's still worth some money, according to the Blue Book. But what do you got to do to save money? I cut my insurance. I basically have the minimum insurance required. PL and PD, public liability, public damage. That's what's required in most states. I've taken off collision. I've taken off everything else. I've got the rates down low. I'm still shopping. I'm always shopping to get them lower. And if I can, I will. I have no accidents, no tickets. So they should come down as soon as I can find someone to bring them down more. Don't send me ads. They all have gimmicks. Here's a rate for your car for $30. And you go to check with them. Oh, but that doesn't include this and doesn't include that. And if you want this, you got to have that. And this is required in your state. And next thing you know, you're spending $200 a month. It's all gimmicks, window dressing. Everybody's doing it in every business because everybody's trying to get your money one way or the other. Some are legitimate scams even, so you got to be careful with that. I'm seeing a lot more scams on YouTube sites. When I ask for money, I look to where I'm going to be creating a fundraiser, and I tell you about it. But I don't send direct messages. Nobody sends direct messages asking for money, except for the thieves overseas. I mentioned that I couldn't really sing much on the last video because some bot would come on and claim a copyright. There are bots out there from China and other places that look for music and they immediately attach a copyright infringement because there's no punishment, significant punishment if they're wrong. You have to go to YouTube. YouTube has to take a week or so to evaluate and agree with you that they shouldn't have put that on there, but you can't put your video up until it's cleared. So I don't put music on my videos, even though I've got tons of them I'd love to put up on here. They're all public domain. I've even used YouTube's own public domain videos and got a copyright infringement attack on it. You'd think YouTube would sit there and slap that down real quick. But these are bots, so if they finally do punish them by taking them off, they just spawn up another one. It's the same thing when you get these stupid calls to sell you car insurance or sell you your new warranty for your car or to sell you this. They're bots because they can have these things just with AI now. They can mimic voices and do all kinds of stuff. Your grandson's in jail and needs bail money. You know, that's a big one. Be careful. They can even imitate the voice. Okay, so the car. Drive the speed limit. I remember when I was in high school, they were teaching us how to drive, because we actually had driver's ed in high school. This is when they actually taught you what to do in life. They had home ec, they had computer, they had everything you needed. Shop, auto shop, wood shop. They don't teach you that anymore because then you'd have an ability to go out and get a job. They don't want you to do that. They want you to be dependent on the government. But anyhow, they would say, drive the gas pedal like you've got an egg underneath your foot. And that's accurate. The most gas you spend taking off is when you're accelerating in first gear. Once it switches to second gear, it's using less gas. So I don't mean take 5 miles to get up to 35 miles an hour. You'd cause a traffic jam. But you don't have to get to 35 before you get through the intersection. There are some people going 50 before they get through the intersection. They just take off. If you've got one of these expensive luxury cars that can pour gas in through the top with a bucket. Don't expect everybody else to drive the way you do, unless you want to pay their gas bills. So take it easy. Don't be in a hurry. You shouldn't be in a hurry anyway. Don't be anxious for anything. It's scripture. So take your time with the car. You know, I know my mother used to do it, and my wife did it for a little while. They go out shopping, and they'd go to 5 or 6 different places, because they'd have all the coupons and they'd have all the discounts. I can save 20 cents on a loaf of bread if I drive 5 miles over here, and I can save $3 on this pot roast over here, and they'd be driving all over the place. Well, that was when gas was 30 to 60 cents a gallon. You might be able to do that, but not today. Go to a superstore and shop. Buy things on sale. Okay, that's the next thing I'm going to get into. Besides saving gas and not driving all over the place, don't make your shopping list up based on what you're going to have for meals that week. Reverse it. Put down what you'd like to have, and then go to the market and find out what's on sale. If the chicken that you wanted is not on sale, move that meal. Have other options. If hamburger's on sale that week, buy hamburger. Buy 2 packs, not 1. If there's BOGOs, buy those. If there's BOGOs and you can afford to buy 6 cans of beans, then buy 6 cans of beans and have beans during the week. Be smart about this. Oh, that sun feels good. If you haven't noticed, I'm in my short sleeve out here today. It's in the 70s. So yes, this is not my morning video because I had to move this morning. But I'm in place. You see the top of my tent back there. Behind me, there's some homes, and so, to my left, your right, I guess, whatever, that way, there's a pasture over there with cows in it. Sometimes in the morning I can hear them. Moo! Last time I was here, there was one that was kind of irate. He had a can of feed or something. He kicked it over and kept kicking it around at 6 in the morning. All right, the sounds of nature. A school bus. I wonder what they're doing in here. This is a public park. They could be bringing in a bunch of kids to hike the lake. Or they're just using it as a turnaround. They drove in and they're turning around and going right back out the exits. They must have been dropping kids off, whatever time it is. Yeah. Okay, so with your market shopping, shop by price, not by what you want. Adjust your eating habits during the week by what you can get at the market. If you know, and this is something you can check out with your meat guys, sometimes if you shop enough times at a Kroger, Publix, whatever the main brand is, they have a time that they put out their old meat. Now, it's still good, but it's got like a day or 2 left. Buy the hamburger. It's got a day or 2 left. Take it home and immediately cook it. Then you can freeze the hamburger or put the hamburger that's pre-cooked already in the refrigerator, and it will last for a few more days. The same thing goes with the roast. Be ready to get home and start cooking. They have a meat sell-off day. And look at some of the other stuff. I just went to the market today, and I went to Kroger. They have ready-made meals. But I bought 3 meals that had a reduced rate on them. Look at the dates. Make sure they're not expired or soon to expire. And some of these containers, they've got plastic on them. If the plastic is pushing out, don't buy it. Little microbes in there are creating gases, causing it to pooch out. Same thing with cans. Any kind of a can that's expanding is bad food inside. Again, This is what I do. Whatever you do, you learn what you need to do. Buy a lot of dry goods, but know how to store them. If you don't know how to store them properly, you could just be throwing money away. Because if they're not good in 6 months when you pull them out, then it was a waste of money. So know how to keep things. Some things can be brought home, and I know that we used to have those seal-o-matics where you could put a bag in there and it would seal it. Pre-cook a bunch of chicken breasts. Put them in there as a one meal's helping, seal it off, put it in the freezer. When you want chicken, pull it down. Learn how to use. My mom and dad grew up in the Depression. How are we doing on time? Because I can be long-winded. My mom and dad grew up in the Depression. They learned to use everything. If you brought home a whole chicken, you might cut all the meat off of it and cook that separately. Then you'd throw the bones with whatever meat you couldn't get off into a pot, and you'd cook that, and you'd make chicken broth. That can go into a soup. That can go into flavoring for another dish. Put it in a jar and put it in the refrigerator. Learn how to can. Now, I never did learn how to can. There's an art to it, and if you don't do it right, you can kill yourself, because this stuff can go bad, and then you go to eat it. So go online. There's plenty of videos. Right now, the YouTube is accessible. I have a feeling that when we get real closer into the bad stuff, the internet's going to go down. We just had it go down on Tuesday, which happened to be Super Tuesday, by the way, if you didn't notice. They took the internet down. So we couldn't talk about it. We couldn't strategize. We couldn't all agree to go and vote. We had to be prepared ahead of time. And we couldn't find out what was going on because the internet was down. Mine didn't. Starlink was up. But they could go after him. Right now he's playing ball with the big guys. But they could go after him. They could push him. He's standing up on some of the stuff where they're not being fair. They may not like that pushback. Okay, what else can we do? I look for cheap laundromats if I don't have one where I'm at. I've got laundry service where I'm at, and I do my laundry here. And at my last campsite, it was the same way. My last campsite, theirs are so cheap they can't afford to fix their equipment when it breaks. It was $1 a wash and $1 to dry. I knew how much I could put in each, and I would load them up. Now, I am not the happy homemaker who separates the whites and puts the permanent press over here and puts this. I don't have any fabric that I would consider delicate, so I don't separate. Everything goes into the pot, okay? Yeah, my white socks are a little bit off-white. It's the way it goes. To save money, you sometimes have to cut corners. Everything's clean, smells fresh. I use static sheets in the dryer, so they smell good. I will, if I'm working, take some of my dress shirts to the cleaners and spend a couple of bucks to get them cleaned, because they're my work shirts and they've got to look good. I've got to do that. I think I'm going to get some work later this month, so I've got to do that soon. So that's the only real extravagance that I do. But I don't take my clothes to the cleaners. I've done that when I was traveling. Take a whole bag of laundry in. Staying in a hotel room, I put the laundry out for them to take and send to the cleaners, and then it comes back and gets put on my bill. But if you're trying to save money, you don't do that. You've got to look for ways to save money and resources and be happy about it. Because we don't know what's coming. We don't know when it's coming. We know all the bad stuff that's out there. I think we're going to miss most of it. But look at the clues we have. We don't know when the rapture is, and it's got nothing to do with not knowing the day or the hour. That's the second coming. But if we don't know when the second coming is, we don't know when the rapture is. We can kind of calculate. We can get the season, and that's the closest we can get. But the rapture, what is it? It's snatching away quickly. Jesus, when it was time to ascend, he just floated up into heaven. Ezekiel got a chariot ride and a fire, but still pretty easy. Enoch, we're not exactly sure, but he was there and then he wasn't. We don't know. No big fanfare. No special event. No special word for it. Harpazo in Greek, rapturo in Latin, or rapture. We have a special event. It's going to take all the Christians, good, honest Christians, off the earth. There's going to be some that are left behind. They're going to go, why am I still here? Because you're in a cult Christianity that's not part of Jesus's group. Now you can be there because you're not too far away, but there's something missing in your Christianity. Jesus. Maybe your church is teaching you that you don't get to heaven by Jesus. You've got to have good works. There are churches that teach that. Read the book of James if you're in doubt. It's only one way. We can have different paths in life, but we all come down to one way, Jesus. There's no other way to heaven. We have different careers, that's okay. It'd be a boring place if everybody was a preacher. We need comedians, we need actors, we need bankers, honest ones, obviously. We need government officials, again, honest ones. Too bad we don't have them, but that's part of the beast system. I think at this point in time, if you look at the schedule of things, at some point in time, the Antichrist, when he's still a king, he's not the Antichrist yet, he rides on where the beast is riding, harlot is riding on his back. So we're going to have that where they're going to work together for a little while. The harlot Babylonian group that's out there that's setting up the world, the Antichrist is going to use what they've set up, but he has no use for the harlot after that. Dictators don't like competition. All right. How am I doing on time? We're close enough. So the bottom line, find ways to cut corners. Not in your Christianity, never, but in your living. Pretend this was the Depression. My mom, till the day she died, was a hoarder because of growing up in the Depression, where they didn't have anything. Now, I don't know that they took an old boot and made soup out of it, but they were down to very minimums. Somebody's noisy. Throwing trash away. You got to seal up the trash cans when you're done putting the trash in, otherwise the animals will get in. And they've come in and they've painted all the tables a nice outdoor red, not bright red, a pastel red. These are tent sites. Then they have another color, I think it's yellow, for the trailers, so they know where to camp. They've painted everybody. They didn't paint my table because I'm here. And my car's 3 feet away. If they ever started painting, I would have moved my car. He's still using a roller, but still, I don't want paint on my car. But they got to come back and paint my table. I'm here for 5 days, and then I'm going to move to another county park for 5 days. I don't know if I told you what I did. I messed up, but God looks after me, so it's okay. I booked another state park for this time, and I went to double check it. Always double check everything. assume things aren't working in your favor, double check. And then when you verify it, you just move on. I had booked from the 7th to the 17th. Today's the 7th. But I booked it in April. I wondered why it was so easy to get 10 days straight at this particular state park, because it's almost always booked on the weekend. So I called the county park, and they, of course, have plenty of openings. This is my favorite site here. I don't want to tell you where I'm at, just in case there's... I know I have trolls, because I see them all the time make comments. I don't want anybody coming here and setting fire to my tent because I'm teaching about Christ. It's getting to that time, people. You got to be careful. So I'm going to be careful. I will tell you to support state and county parks. There's so much out here. I've got a woodpecker up there. I'm seeing squirrels all over the place. I don't see deer here because it's too city. Because there's houses all around. But this is a nice park. It's well maintained. It's the old state park that Chattahoochee Bend became the state park for. It's now a county park here, and Chattahoochee Bend is now the state park, and it's a nice park too. And they're well maintained. They're designed for you to come out with your family and have fun. And there's things to do. There's nature walks that are part of the plans. Look at their calendar if you go to one of these. State parks specifically, they have a ranger there who sets up a calendar of events. A lot of them for kids. So try to find that. They put out stuff on trails. I think for Valentine's Day you had to find all the hearts on the trail and come back in, and the kids got to dig through a box of toys to find something to take home with them for finding all the hearts. So they do things for the kids, and they've all got play yards. I'm looking at a play yard right there. There's another one over there. This place actually has a beach. If you know the area, you know where I'm talking about, and I assume you're probably safe for me to tell you where I'm at. But if you don't know, too bad. Just get out and start checking them out yourself, and you'll find out what they're like. And we're getting nice weather. This place here there's two ways to do water at a campsite, and I'm going to go off on a rabbit hole. You get the kind that have the valve at the top. You got to open up the handle, and you hear the water come up the pipe, because the valve's actually below ground, and it comes out the top, and you use the water. That's what you're supposed to have in cold weather. Some of these parks are older, and they haven't upgraded because those are expensive. And they got just regular spigots, household spigots. The problem with that is that they can freeze the water that's in the pipe. So they use heat wraps. You can get them for any pipe, or you've got it outside your house if you haven't got it protected, insulated. But they put a heat wrap on it, put some foam around it, and then it plugs into one of the power lines, power cords areas. They've got power on the box over here. I've got 30 amps. But I don't have enough breakers to run all my stuff. So if it's really cold, I can only run one of my heaters here, because I got to keep the wrap on that. And same eventually when I switch at this rate, probably next month I'll be switching out my heaters for my air conditioner. And yes, I have an air conditioner. I bought it on sale. Look for sales. I bought a 1600 BTU portable air conditioning unit for $220 at Target a couple years ago. They were getting rid of old stock. This is the last one there. I get up to the register. There's no price tag on it. They couldn't find it. They said, call the manager over. The manager goes, "You willing to pay $220 for it?" I go, "Yep." And I haul it away. It's probably worth $500 to $600, but they get it off their inventory, which apparently was not on their inventory. So it fixes their inventory. You brush stuff under the carpet that way. Be available for stuff like that. Be looking for it. Have a mental list if you don't write it down. Now, I have to write stuff down. I have a notepad on my phone that I can put things in, and I can create another note and just save it. And every time I save it, it's at the top of the list. If you don't have Notepad built in, download the app. There's plenty of free apps that say Notepad, and you're just typing text in it. A lot of times I will do my messages in the Notepad. I get the outline in there to come up with all the things I'm going to talk about, and then I can email that Notepad data to my laptop, and then I can cut it into my editor over there and then add to it. My laptop has a digital Bible. If you're going to have stuff like that, make sure it's self-contained and it doesn't need to go out and pull stuff down. If you can run your digital Bible without the internet, then you're going to have it available. So be careful. If you're doing everything online, expect it to go away at some point. Our navigators are going to go away if there's no internet. You understand that? Do you have a map book in your car? Do you know how to drive everywhere you go? I had a problem a year or so ago where I dropped my phone, smashed the screen. I couldn't see anything. I had to drive to T-Mobile to get a new phone. I didn't know where there was one close by. So I drove about 45 minutes. I could have probably driven 20 minutes. But I had to drive about 45 minutes up and 45 minutes back to where I knew that there was a T-Mobile store. And I had to make sure that I found my way, and I took the major roads. I took the major freeways in that. I didn't know how to take the back roads because I'm relying on my navigator. I didn't have a map book in my car. I stopped carrying them a long time ago. I now have one in my car. If you need to have a real tight street map, they probably still make the map books. I don't know. But a lot of times, if you're a navigator, like if you had a Garmin, when I had a Garmin, it had an offline mode. I don't know if you can do that with Google, but it had an offline mode where you could download all the maps, have them on the phone or on the Garmin, and you could still drive if there was no internet. It wouldn't be able to follow very well where you're at, but you could still get an idea. It kind of got a little information out of the satellites as to tracking, because it can receive messages so you can kind of know where it's at. The newer Garmins can do that, but what happens if the satellites are gone? If we get into some kind of a world war, they're going to take satellites out. The one I helped put up in space is going to be the one that's going to be the Russians' biggest target. It's a communication satellite for the military. Yeah, they'll go after that fast. All right, I've talked long enough. You've got enough on your plate to do. Be happy about everything you do because you're working for the Lord, and be frugal with His money. It's His money, it's not yours. I don't care if you work for it. He got you the job and He's keeping you working. So it's His money. So be frugal with it. You can have cheat days on a diet. You can have spending days with God. Just check with Him first. You can have steak once a week if you want. I don't know if I'd eat it every day unless you had plenty of money. All right. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.